Why countries around the world are banning social media for kids. Around 7 months ago, Australia made history. For the first time anywhere in the world, a country passed a law saying if you're under 16, you can't have a social media account. Not just one app, every major app. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, all of them. And if the companies break that rule, the fine can be up to 50 million Australian dollars. That was December 2025. Since then, country after country has followed. Today we're going to find out why the whole world is moving in the same direction and what it means for kids like you. The wave. Australia didn't stay alone for long. France passed a law requiring platforms to get a parent's permission before anyone under 15 can sign up. Norway is considering a law that would set the age limit at 15. Canada introduced its own bill in June 2026. The UK's Prime Minister said the UK would go further than any country in the world. Spain, Brazil, Indonesia, Denmark, Greece, Poland, Malaysia. More than a dozen countries are now writing, debating, or already passing their own laws. Something big is changing. But why all at once? And why now? The dopamine loop. The answer comes down to one word: dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical your brain makes when something feels good. You score a goal, dopamine. You finish a hard level in a game, dopamine. You open a present, dopamine. It's sometimes called your brain's feel-good chemical. Here's the key thing. Every time you get a like on a photo, a new comment, or a notification ping, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine. That feels good, so your brain wants more, so you check again and again and again. Social media apps are built by some of the most talented engineers in the world, and all those engineers know exactly how dopamine works. The infinite scroll that never ends. The notification sound that always makes you look. The red number sitting above every app icon. Every single one of those features was carefully designed to keep you coming back. A 2025 Pew Research Center study found that 36% of American teenagers use social media almost constantly. Scientists believe that for a brain that's still growing and developing, like the brain of anyone under 16, this level of constant stimulation may actually change the way your brain develops. Here's why teenagers are especially vulnerable. There's a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. It controls your impulses and helps you decide when to stop. But it doesn't fully develop around age 25. That means a teenager's brain has a highly sensitive reward system, but not yet the full ability to put the brakes on. That is one of the key scientific reasons these laws target people under 16. Not because teenagers are children, but because their brains are wired differently from adults. And that is what worries researchers, doctors, and parents around the world. The numbers. The mental health picture is troubling. The same Pew Research study found that 48% of American teenagers now believe social media has a mostly negative effect on people their age. Rates of anxiety, depression, and sleep problems among teenagers have gone up sharply in the same years that smartphones and social media became widespread. Scientists are still studying exactly how strong the link is, but many researchers say the evidence is now strong enough to act. How the bans actually work. The bans look different in different countries, but they share one big idea. Their responsibility falls on the platforms, not on families. Under Australia's law, it's up to Instagram, and TikTok, and Snapchat to use age verification, tools that check how old a user really is, and prove it works. If a 14-year-old slips through, the platform, not the kid, not the parents, faces a fine of up to 50 million Australian dollars. Canada's proposed law, called Bill C-44, works similarly. Platforms could earn an exemption, an official an exception to the rule if they can prove their safety systems are strong enough. Think of it like a cinema with a strict age rating. The ticket seller, not your parents, is responsible for checking if you are old enough to get in. These laws are trying to make social media companies the ticket sellers for their own platforms. Does it actually work? Not everyone agrees that banning is the right answer. When Canada announced its plans, teenagers told reporters they would always find a way, using an older sibling's account, lying about their age, or switching to apps not covered by the law. Some experts agree a determined teenager will usually find a workaround. Others say putting a legal responsibility on billion-dollar platforms is more powerful than anything a family can do at home. And some researchers point out that social media is not harmful for everyone. A lot depends on how you use it, for how long, and why. The debate is real. But one thing almost everyone agrees on right now, platforms face almost no responsibility for what happens to young users. These new laws are trying to change that. So here's where things stand. A wave of governments has decided the risk is big enough to act. The platforms are pushing back, and millions of teenagers, exactly the people these laws are written about, are watching to see what happens next. The conversation about what kids should do online and who is responsible for keeping them safe is just getting started. Do you think banning social media for kids under 16 is a good idea, or will teenagers find a way around it anyways? Tell us what you think in the comments.